Is this whole thing is essentially a peaceful assembly to petition the government for redress of grievances. The First Amendment of the Constitution to effect positive change. That's my testimony. I never took the stand, but that's basically what it is. So you have a group of people that assembled and had a redress of grievances about rural issues that they wanted answers to. And what happened is nobody answered them. So nobody answered any of the grievances, and they shot a man and brought everybody else here for a year to do all this. If they would have acquitted me of all the charges, that's where it ends. Nothing changes, nothing happens. But through a guilty verdict, now there's an appeals process where we can talk about other constitutional violations and move forward in that arena.
Do you plan to appeal the verdicts then?
The very first time I ever talked to a lawyer, I said, we will be appealing any guilty verdicts. The redress of grievances, which is a very important thing that nobody knows about due to no media coverage, I guess, because it's always been there, is totally ignored. Now, there is talk of different things happening now because of what happened, but the actual trying to talk to your legislators and say, this is really important, and especially what's happening to this man right now as a result of these things, and this isn't right, and we want you to look at it, and what they do is completely ignore you, is not really how things should be. It shouldn't take that much effort. But now the whole world knows, the whole world sees. Hopefully there's a whole lot more dialogue happening about it. And it's sort of the same as a result of this. With a complete acquittal, the dialogue ends. With a guilty verdict, appeals move forward. We continue talking about constitutional issues and violations. And the judge made a pretty clear record. Like the removal of the misdemeanors is very important. The jury doesn't even know we're charged with misdemeanors. So if the jury's trying to send a message like, hey, we don't like what happened, and so we have to find somebody guilty of something. And so that's what they did. And they don't even know that there's misdemeanors because they weren't given to the jury. That's a constitutional violation. The Second Amendment says in matters of life and liberty, I have a right to a jury trial. And the Seventh Amendment says in matters of property over $20, I have a right to a jury trial. All that went away here. So the jury's in the dark, right? The truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. Well, the truth is we're charged with misdemeanors and you don't even know that we're charged with misdemeanors. And because of the nature of things, you might want to find us guilty of those misdemeanors, but you don't even get the option. So the judge created a very clear record and almost completely identified an appealable issue. She says, I don't know if I have the authority to give you a jury trial or not, and even if I did, I wouldn't give it to you. It's a pretty strong appeal. And so that's where you're at.
Yeah. So the silver lining of this, you said, for you is that at least the dialogue is now continuing. Sure. Because if there had been a across the board acquittal, that wouldn't have happened.
Yep. I mean, the point is, there's bad things happening, and I think the world should know about it. Now they do, sort of, if they're listening and paying attention. And it's reported accurately, right? That's the really terrible thing about this is the inflammatory nature of the coverage. The coverage of the event didn't want to give credence or credibility to the message that was being delivered, and then completely changed it into what sells newspapers and advertising on stations. Had we covered it accurately and said what it really was, we might not be doing this. We might be actually affecting positive change. But drama sells newspapers, so make it the most dramatic thing you can, and there you go.
Do you think the verdict today is fair after the first trial where everyone was found not guilty, and now today people are being found?
No, not at all. I mean, the thing about this is, if you think that what happens in court is about truth, justice, and the American way, I think you're a little bit deceived. This is a theatrical performance where the public picks winners and losers. It's not necessarily about the truth. It's about this was a government production. It's government theater is what happens. You can't say everything you want to say. That's why do you swear to tell the truth? I'm like, as much as it's allowed in this venue. That's what I told him. Because you won't allow me to tell you the truth. There'll be all kinds of objections and whatever. The actual truth will not even be allowed to be told. So I can't take an oath to tell the whole truth because you don't allow it. So is it unfair? I got the same system, right? I got a jury trial by jury, and that jury said something different. So as far as fair as it is, I mean, I got the same opportunity and a different jury. But I like the jury system. I just wish we would tell them the whole truth and allow them to deliberate on all the charges. I should have a jury of my peers for all the charges you charge. The fact that you took that away from me, give me this verdict here. This verdict is delivered by nature of not telling the jury the entire truth, in my opinion.
Anything else that you want to add or that you think the general public should know?
Yeah, Dwight Hammond, and Dwight Hammond.
Thank you.
Steve Hammond.